program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know that or what? We are often replicated but never duplicated. That is for sure. Anyways, today is Thursday, March the 31st of 2022. Yes, that is for sure. And it is day 90th of the year. Only 275 to go. Yes, only 275 days to go. I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. Think about that for a moment. I want you to think about this. 90 days. So it has been 90 days since the year transitioned over. Does that seem like a long period of time for you, or does it seem like a short period of time? Because that will determine right away how you feel about time. That is the first thing. And then the next thing about it is it'll make some determinations right away on, when things are long or short for you, just depending, because that was 90 days. That's what 90 days felt like. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging with our friends at that other place.
Radio.
And if I have to be honest, I have had more conversations about that other place or Radio Big over the last few days than I probably have since the whole thing was hanging and banging and we started hanging out over there. But I guess that will be possibly a conversation for another day. And let me make sure that I'm clear here. There was something that we spoke about for about a week or two that we were talking about potentially potentially having a third option on where we could be heard. I will tell you, as they like to use in the term of work in business, that is now dead in the water. And I think here's what happens. I started talking about stuff early, which is probably a bad part that I have sometimes, that I like to talk about things. So I probably should have just kept my mouth shut and we could have just moved on from there. But I started talking about it, and I think the people had the idea that I was just going to run with it because I started talking about it, which was not the case at all. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. You don't want to hear about my jargon. You're here because you want to hear what's going on inside of the world of the news, what's going on inside of the world of safety. You want to do the things that we do around here. So let me shut the freak up and move forward and us hang and bang and talk right away. So let's talk about what was trending in the overnight, because that's always important. Susan Collins was trending after news broke that the GOP senator from Maine will vote for Supreme Court nominee Brown Jackson. So there you go. What else? Twitter users gave shout outs to those in the medical field on Wednesday for National Doctors Day. Disney landed in Twitter's top 10 trends yesterday after the executive from the company announced that half of the characters will be LGBTQIA or racial minorities by the end of the year. So hold on. I want to know how that's going to work. Does that mean existing or new characters? Because that's going to be I think that we need some more info on that. And then Malcolm Jenkins was trending after announcing his retirement from the NFL. And yesterday also the news broke that Bruce Willis was trending on Wednesday. And you might sit there for a moment and go, why was he trending? And we can talk about that relatively quick if you'd like to do that ahead of time, because I think that this might be important. So let's talk about this. Bruce Willis is stepping back from acting after being diagnosed with aphasia. His daughter Rumor Willis posted about the actor's health struggles, saying that it is really a challenging time for the whole family. Aphasia impacts the ability to comprehend words and or speak. It can be caused by strokes, tumors, or other brain damage. It is unclear to what led to Bruce's diagnosis. And, it was trending everywhere, and I'm sorry to say this, but I thought at first that it was much worse. I mean, it is bad, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was much worse because you know how things start getting posted online right away. So I was thinking the worst had occurred, but thank God he's still alive. Unfortunate that he has to step back. Hopefully something can be done. You never know how these things end up working. So let's talk a little bit more about some other things going on inside of the world. So do we talk about the charts? I think we should. Annie Rose, an English doodle from Ohio, is the winner of the 4th annual Canterbury Bunny tryout. The pup is the therapy dog who frequents nursing homes to bring joy to residents. As the winner of the Annie Wen received the starring role of the 2022 Canterbury Clucking Bunny commercial and took home $5,000 prize. Her role in the commercial also helps raise money for the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty of Animals. There is a commercial available, but you kind of have a good idea how this goes. If I play that commercial, there is the flag daddy that ends up happening. And, you know, I don't want to get flagged. Let me tell you this. Yesterday, we played Mozart, public domain stuff. And half the show got pulled down on some of the social media platforms, which I chuckled about after it occurred and then cried with my producer. So there you go. So that's what was going on right there inside of that. So let's start talking. So this is the portion of the show where we bring in some professional broadcasters. They talk about what's going on inside of the world. And then I kind of sit back and wait on what's going on. And then I come back in, give you some jargon, and then we hang out together and do some things. So if you want to come in, talk, message, so on, all you have to do is go to Call-In Radio. We're going to get you moving with the news right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is calling on Australia to support its fight against Russia.
The worst pages of the 20th century have been brought back by Russia already. The biggest threats of that century came back. The evil that humanity thought they had forgotten about a long time ago.
Zelensky gave a video address to Australia's parliament today and, speaking through a translator, said Russian forces are shelling our cities, killing our civilians, and abducting thousands of children to their territories. He called on Australia to share its Bushmaster military vehicles with Ukraine and for sanctions against Russia to be more strictly enforced. President Biden is considering new action to bring relief at the pump. It's being reported he may reveal a plan in just hours to release 1 million barrels of oil a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This would last for several months in a bid to fight rising gas prices. At least 7 people are injured after a tornado tore through parts of Arkansas yesterday. The National Weather Service says it was at least an EF2, which is categorized by winds between 111 and 135 miles per hour. Nearly 200,000 people in 7 states are waking up in the dark because of storms. Tennessee has the most outages at more than 45,000 after a strong storm left a trail of damage yesterday. The Department of Justice investigation into Hunter Biden appears to be heating up. Mike Bauer reports.
The investigation into Hunter Biden's business activities has gained steam in recent months. According to CNN, there's been a flurry of witnesses providing testimony to federal investigators and more expected to provide interviews in the coming weeks. The probe concerns multiple financial and business activities in foreign countries dating back to when Biden's father was vice president. And although the new evidence does not indicate that President Biden was personally involved in these dealings or that he benefited from them in any way, there is evidence that Hunter Biden leveraged his father's influence and contacts President Biden has made over the years for his own personal gain.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in Riga, I'm Ollie Barrett. A UK intelligence chief says Vladimir Putin's advisors are too afraid to tell him the truth about his faltering invasion of Ukraine. South Ossetia, a breakaway region of Georgia, could hold a referendum on joining Russia in the coming months. Britain's Foreign Minister Liz Truss is visiting India as her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov also arrives for talks, and Japan has set up a task force to reduce the country's dependence on Russia.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Chris Rock hit the stage Wednesday night in Boston for his first show since Sunday's Oscars fiasco. Here's how fans reacted.
An incredible standing ovation like you could not believe. It just went on forever and ever and ever. And he said he had material for tonight, and he wasn't ready to really focus on what had happened, but he was unbelievable.
Rock's Ego Death Tour has seen a bump in ticket sales after Will Smith slapped him live on stage for his joke about Jada Pinkett Smith. The Academy has initiated disciplinary proceedings against Smith for violating the Academy's code of conduct. Expulsion from the Academy is reportedly on the table. The Grammys are planning to honor Taylor Hawkins during this weekend's awards ceremony. Jack Sussman, a CBS official, told Variety they're working to honor the late Foo Fighters drummer in some way. He said they haven't quite figured out what the tribute will be, but they want it to be respectful to everyone involved. The band was supposed to perform at the show before Hawkins unexpectedly died last week while the band was on tour. The Foos have 12 Grammys and were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame late last year. The Grammys are set to take place on Sunday, April 3rd. It looks like more people are struggling to put food on the table due to record inflation. Trey Thomas reports.
Google searches for food stamps are still 100% higher than before the pandemic, and it's been increasing over the last 3 months. A new poll this week found anxiety about inflation is at its highest level since 1985. A report from Bloomberg also shows basic household items will cost $5,000 more this year.
Disney is delivering on its promise for more diversity. The corporate president wants half of the characters to be LGBTQ or minorities by the end of the year. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
It's a new year, but it's feeling harder than ever to find and hire qualified people you need, especially for small businesses. That's where LinkedIn Job comes in. They make it easier to find people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of the most qualified people. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who'd you like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering qualified hires versus leading competitors. I have to tell you that we have used LinkedIn Jobs to even find some of the people that we have here at Safety FM. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your jobs for free on linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to tell them that you heard it right here on Safety FM.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day, making sure they brush their teeth, is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, I believe in magic as well, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on. Anyways, we are having a fantastic time here today in the studio. 17 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging and banging on Thursday. Yeah, you know, that dream sequence that I was telling you about not so long ago, Monday through Thursday, off every Friday, 10 weeks off a month. I mean, not a month, off a year. Boy, would that be one hell of a term. Anyways, let's start talking right away about what's going on inside of the hit list of hits and everything else. So we need to do this right now. Mark Zuckerberg really does not like TikTok, and I guess I probably shouldn't say that as we hang and bang on Facebook. A Washington Post report says that Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, which is confusing remains the parent company of social media platforms Facebook, has retained the high-powered Republican strategy firm to turn public opinion against TikTok. It's a particularly petty move. The strategy includes promoting dubious stories about alleged TikTok trends that actually originated on Facebook. In addition, some traditional PR moves like placing ops and ads and letters to the editors across the country vilifying TikTok. So beyond the brain-numbing effects of TikTok, there are some legitimate political reasons to diminish its influence. It's owned by a Chinese firm, is what people are saying, and it collects all kinds of data on millions of Americans every day, which is undoubtedly a flow directly into the Chinese Communist Party apparatus. So I don't know. I remember when former President Trump was actually in power, and there was some convo during the time that they were not going to allow TikTok to be around anymore, and they were going to do away with it. So what the hell happened with that? And wasn't Microsoft at some point going to buy it? Boy, it seems like a lifetime ago all that was going down, but I guess that was part of the gig and the reason of what was going on in life. I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Or has things changed so drastically that you kind of go, no, I don't have any recollection of any of this stuff. And believe me, if that would be the case, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to hold it. I'm not going to hold it against you of, hey, you should remember everything that's happened during the pan because it's been some long times. Anyways, FDA head Peter Marks told reporters this week that it's unlikely that Americans will need to yet get another shot to be considered fully boosted. It would not be surprising if there was a potential need for people to get an additional booster in the fall, along with more general boosters campaigns that takes place, he said. A 4th shot was authorized earlier this week for people over 50. So let's talk about this. So it's not like I broke a code, and it's not like anything was ever broken or anything said about this, but I pointed out right away when I had seen the vaccine card to most people that there was 4 spots on there. And it said 1, 2 in regards of you getting vaccinated. And we kind of knew that from day one on how that was going to look. But there was other listed as 3 and 4. I thought it was an odd thing from day one that 3 and 4 was already listed on there, because if there is a 3 and 4, something told me back then that 3 and 4 was going to be a thing. And here we are now, over a year later, since I think the vaccine started coming about, or at least really open to the majority of the general public. And now we are talking about the 4th. I was talking with someone yesterday that they told me that they had so many problems with their card on how they were doing stuff that they ended up getting 2 cards. And I was like, boy, does that sound like a scary proposition.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, meanwhile, a Wake Forest medical student in some hot water after proudly posting on Twitter that she she needlessly jabbed a patient with more than once during a blood raw because of a patient mocked the pin she wore with her pronouns. When the tweet was brought up in light of the mainstream Twitter Blablasphere, Wake Forest account responded they would be addressing the issue. We are taking measures against this student, they wrote. Worth asking, should do no harm be absolute? The student has since deleted her account. So deleted her account, not deleted the post, deleted her account. Yeah, don't you have to take some promises and some swears when you become like a medical professional on that you're not going to do some horse shit like that? I mean, because it definitely does sound like that would be the consideration of horse shit, if you know what I'm talking about, for sure.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. Top of the stuff going on. It is 23 minutes past the top of the hour. So where do we go here? Let's talk about this real quick. 2 Russians and Americans walk into a bar. American astronaut Mark Vade. I think we talked about this yesterday. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. So Mark Vade is back on Earth after spending a record-breaking 355 consecutive days in space, the most of an American has ever done. A Russian holds the overall record at 437. Which he spent aboard the Mir space station back in the 1990s. Despite the ongoing international tension, Van High to return to Earth aboard the ship with the 2 cosmonauts. Now, I'm going to tell you this. The next portion, I always talk about how I love having people on the radio, so don't get me wrong. So I am going to have to describe this to you, but the people that are watching on the video stream are going to get to see it. So if you are listening and you're on the video stream, you might want to get close for you to see this, because I don't even know how to explain this, what I'm going to show you next. So if you wanted to be a sci-fi version of Bane on Halloween, look no further on this new product from Dyson. Yes, the vacuum company. This is their, they have debuted Dyson's Zone headphones with an air purifying visor. And this is not a joke. This is what this thing looks like. So for the people that are hanging on the radio, and if you're taking a look right now here that are not on the radio, you can see overall what this thing looks like. And it's kind of hard to explain. So you have the traditional headphone components that one may see, but it also has this, we'll say this mouth cover thing, very a la Bane, that is the air purifier. And I am not sure on what you're supposed to be doing with this thing besides that, because it is a very weird looking apparatus. I'm going to scoot this over here for a second. So it's a very weird looking apparatus, as you can take a look at it. So imagine traditional headphones. And then if you could imagine like a motorcycle helmet on how it has the mouth covering section where you would kind of vent a little bit. That is what the other portion of what's there. So thank you to the radio listeners and the people that are viewing. Well, there you go. That is what the future looks like. The Dysons includes a set of headphones that connect to a wearable air purifier. They're marketing it as a device to tune out both the sound and smells of the living city. It is expected to hit shelves later this year. No price has been released. So I keep on wondering if this is going to be one of those items where they go, hey, we're going to pay you to wear this because we don't think anybody else really will.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Well, I think we are at the part of the show where we need to bring in some John Smalls and him tell us about what's going on with the market beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, March 31st, 2022. The rebound in equities took a breather on the last day of trading of the quarter, with the S&P 500 pulling back about 1% at the low of the session. The move is not unexpected after the violent updraft the market has seen over the past 2 weeks, but there are some signs of danger in it as well. The candle signal is bearish and could signal a deeper pullback in stocks, and it comes the day before the dreaded PCE price index. The PCE price index is the Fed's favored tool for measuring consumer inflation and is expected to be a hot one. Core consumer prices are expected to accelerate to 5.5% year over year and come in above expectations. Even the figures are cooler than expected. Inflation is still running hot, and aggressive rate actions are expected over the next 2 meetings. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one, letting us know what exactly is going on. I'll give you a little tidbit more. The Wall Street Journal reports the positive drug tests for employment have hit a 2-decade high. Quest Diagnostics says nearly 4% of the tests came back positive for marijuana in 2021, a figure that doubled since 2017. The increase comes with even fewer companies are issuing drug tests as dope becomes more legally available across the country. Overall, 4.6% of tests came back positive in some kind of drug. So let's talk about that, because I think that one's kind of interesting. As you're seeing more and more states legalizing marijuana, of course, I did say states, I never said anything about a federal level. What are you dealing with as an employee that's possibly involved with some of this portion? Are you seeing issues? Now, let's put it this way. If you are in a safety department that has anything to do with, drug testing and all that kind of fun stuff, because you get to hang out quite a bit with the people that are over there in the HR department, you might ask some questions. You might turn around and go, well, we need to talk about this. So are you seeing a lot of interactions? And then let's talk about the other side. If you're doing incident investigation or post-accident drug testing, are you seeing a lot of things coming back with it? It's kind of a weird ask, but it's, I said ask just in case, but it's kind of a weird ask in regards to talking about it, because what do you think? Where does some of these things go? You can't just sit back and go, we don't talk about Bruno. We have to talk about everything that's going on. So is this something that's having a major impact on where you're at? Something to think about for sure as we are hanging and banging. I think we can squeeze in one more news story before we get too far away. Let's take a look real quick on what we have real quick. Let's talk about this one. The defense set to begin in Michigan Governor Kidnap trial. The prosecution has rested in the trial of the 4-man charge in plotting to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Trey Thomas has more information.
Prosecutors say the men plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer back in 2020. They've all pleaded not guilty, while 2 other men admitted guilt. Defense attorneys say the men were entrapped by the FBI. They will start their case today. I'm Trey Thomas.
We were entrapped by the FBI to try to kidnap somebody. That sounds like a legitimate argument. It was entrapment, I tell you. Entrapment. Anyways, I think it's time to do that thing that we call our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So, moving around, moving about, talking about the things that we need to do and move and groove and go and move and do. You know, it's interesting at times of our lives on what we do for work. I mean, let's talk about it. I think that the things that we do for work are some of the most exciting things that we get to do from time to time. And I'm not lying as I say that. That's something that I really think that's important. But also the other portion that we can talk about is how sometimes at work we go, let's just do it and see what happens. I mean, think about the times and the portions of life where that conversation is a thing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it can be scary as that does come about. Because here's the gig. When you do what we do, well, we kind of see accidents and failures and things that shouldn't be occurring. But sometimes they start off with simple conversations of let's do it and see what happens. I mean, sorry, but it is the truth of the equation. It is the truth of the matter. It is the truth of what we're talking about. So how often is this something that comes up? How often is this something that you have noticed inside of your workplace that has happened and you go, oh crap, we need to fix something now? And I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's something that we need to think about. Definitely we have lived in an environment where, let's get it done or get her done or however you want to word it, that we have actually had some impacts with that, opposed to thinking about what might be the longer format of what's happening. So these are some of the things that we have to start equating for, opposed to just kind of, hey, let's go ahead and take the risk and just go from there. So at what point do you turn around and go, okay, maybe the conversation changes a slight bit? Maybe the conversation is now opposed to let's just do it. What do we need to make sure that we're safe while we're doing it? And listen, there are about 1,000 different things that one can sit back and reference and go, well, we could do this and we can do that, and that's what should have been done, opposed to things being done. I mean, think about it for a moment. Opposed to it just being the straight and narrow, it's not always the straight and narrow. Sometimes it actually becomes other things. Wow, that got staticky all of a sudden out of the blue. But sometimes it becomes other things inside of our conversation, opposed to the way that we actually want them to occur. So at what point do you ask that question during an investigation if something has went wrong? Did you just do it as let's get it done? Because listen, and I know that at times people are going to focus mostly on getting work done because, let's be realistic, operations generates money. And they're going to sit back and go, well, we are going to have to push through this regardless of what's going on. Now, don't get me wrong. I have worked quite a bit inside of the transportation industry. And I will tell you, we have sent out people during bad weather conditions across the country because, we understand that revenue comes in by deliveries occurring. And sometimes there has been this mentality where money is more important than the safety of the person that's out there. Let's just be realistic. If we're going to sit here and have these honest conversations, we need to have the honest conversations, opposed to it being, well, we don't talk about that. I have to say it this way as I get all mumbled up there. The funny part about the whole thing is that it's not just been one company that I've worked for or two companies. It's been several companies. I can't say hundreds because that's not an honest statement. It's happened hundreds of times where you have to start questioning this. I remember being in South Florida, 35 miles per hour winds during a particular time frame that there was an outlier of a tropical storm, potential hurricane that was coming. So they kept on telling me, until it goes above 35 miles per hour winds, we cannot have the people come back. In a box truck. Think about that for a moment. If you've ever driven a vehicle and all of a sudden you have a large gush of wind, specifically like in an SUV, you know how it kind of makes that vehicle move a little bit. So imagine that on a 26-foot box truck, on how that would make you feel. But that's the thing. We tell them, let's just do it and see what happens. What's the risk worth? That's the things that we have to think about. We have to think about all these things about, hey, if we put people at risk, is the risk worth the cost? And the answer is no, it's not worth it. Now, here's the other portion. Hazard pay. A lot of people get hazard pay for certain jobs that they do. And think about that. It is that lottery. It is that betting on, I believe nothing will occur, so let's move forward and do this, but I am not 100% sure if it will or not. I mean, think about it. I am betting that something will not go wrong because you're giving me a little bit more money, because there is a hazard. And apparently there will be a level of an agreement where I agree for you to pay me more because I am willing to take a risk. You are aware that that's what essentially hazard pay is. I mean, think about this. There are people that work on power lines that essentially get a versionality of hazard pay or get paid extremely well because of what they do. And if it's an emergency perspective, you would be almost amazed on how mid six figures is the number to put their life in jeopardy. Yes, I think you did hear me correctly there. Mid six figures on being able to go out there and do the work. So, is the hazard pay worth it? I don't know. Is it let's just do it and see what happens? Maybe that's a conversation that you need to have inside of your workplace before something painful happens, before something terrible or catastrophic. Because here's the thing. If you're having the conversations of let's just do it and see what happens when an event's occurring, that's a problem. If you plan out and have this ahead of time, totally different story. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Unspectacular planning. Think about it. Might be something that can help you inside of your organization.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face. And posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
It's not a crime in letting your desire show now. We both know you can hold out, and it's plain to see how you need me. Lead with temptation, come back to me. Beneath the floorboards, way buried deep down, will you always come back around? Don't you know? There's more than meets the eye, you see. You're not what you appear to be. They don't know you like I do. No one knows but me.
Okay, there you go. 43 minutes past the top of the hour. Rated R Safety Show. No one knows but me. This song's by Tori Wolf. Song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. So there you go. Take a listen to it. Take a download. Take a stream. There is more than meets the eye. No one knows but me. There you go. Thank you for Tori Wolf for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Okay, let's get into it because you know how it goes around here. We start running out of El Timo between you and I in regards to the things that are going on. That is for sure. So don't worry about that. We will get you some info coming your general direction. Anyways, double drive-through. Here you go. The Tim Horton Restaurants is testing a new drive-through technology in Ontario that they will not only get customers to get their orders faster, it will also do so without any face-to-face interaction with staff. The famous Canadian coffee shop is testing what they call automated drive-through pickup points. How does it work? The new technology is hosted by a second drive-through lane, allowing two customers to order at the same time. The conveyor belt moves the guest order above the drive-through lane to the second, and after paying, the customer receives their order through an automated receiving box with electric doors. The first trial of the technology launched in Tim Hortons location near Windsor, Ontario. So there you go. So, well, as long as it still gets the coffee order wrong, I guess it's okay. I have never have to see a person, and I am not sure if this is something to get excited about. The kids at my local drive-thru never look at you in the eye anyway, and the problem is that at the local Tim's, if they want a second drive-through lane, it's going to have to be on top of the first one because there is definitely no room whatsoever after that. So there you go. Just some things to think about. Anyway, some other things real quick. Economic briefing. What's the early warning signs of the economy might be tanking? Your underwear. Yeah, this is not a joke. According to a former U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman, Alan Greenspan, he became a little bit famous for his theory of underwear as a key economic predictor. He believes that nobody else sees men's underwear except the locker room. Well, sorry about that. So thinking that underwear sales are usually stable, then when it dips, that means that we are so broke that they're deciding not to replace underwear, and that backs up his theory. Here are some of the strange supposed economic indicators. Skyscraper index. The theory is that if you increase the increase of a very tall building happens when we're approaching a bust. And when the building that breaks that record for the world's tallest is completed, economic crisis is imminent. It's also linked to cheap credit, over investments, and rampant speculation. Lipstick index. The purchase of cosmetics, especially lipsticks, are inversely related to the economy because women replace more expensive purchases with small pick-me-ups. This was revised to the moisturizing index during the COVID economic downturn as consumers turned to skincare items as they downed the mask and worked from home. Dating site index. Matchup sites enjoy boost during the economic boost, while unemployed people have plenty of time to swipe around. And online dating is relatively inexpensive and a misery, as well as I know from Love Company. So hold on real quick. Online dating, is that a thing? I mean, I can understand finding someone online, but online dating is what they just referenced. Mr. Greenspan may be able to predict the economy, but apparently he has never predicted saggy jeans because when you're wearing those, everyone sees your underpants. So there you go. And the economy is really bad when you're wearing no underwear because it's your brother's turn. So something to think about for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. Anyways, let's talk about the most important thing that I'm going to tell you at any point, at any time that we have a conversation. And this is about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether if you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to afsp.org. That is afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. So there you go. That's the information that we got for you to take a listen to, take a view, take a gander. It is always important to know this because you never know when you might need it. Seriously, you can even help out a local chapter. Just call 1-800-273-8255. Text the word TALK to 741-741, or go to afsp.org. Got some options on different things to do if you're so inclined to do so. So there you go. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things. Nearly all NYC homeless encampment sites cleaned up. Nearly all 244 New York homeless encampment sites identified in the city officials are now dismantled. Noam Laden has more from the city hall's effort to get the homeless off the streets.
Visiting some of those makeshift sidewalk encampments. This man lived in one of them until he says his stuff was cleared away by the city without his permission.
That makes me feel violated. I mean, that's my property.
Mayor Adams is hoping those living out in the elements will accept help to move off the streets and into homeless shelters, but many on the streets say they don't want that.
I'd rather be here, yes. I just need a safe environment, and the shelters is not it.
Noam Laden, NBC News Radio, New York.
So what do they do with cases? I mean, it's one of those things that you have to have the convo, but do you just kind of move people by force? Is that really something to think about? So I don't know. So anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world. Trump wants Putin's help on the Hunter Biden information. Former President Donald Trump is asking Russian President Vladimir Putin to put a release information he allegedly possesses on President Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Mike Bowers has more information.
In an interview Tuesday, former President Trump brought up supposed evidence of disputed shady foreign business dealings between Hunter Biden and several Eastern European oligarchs, including the wife of the mayor of Moscow.
She gave him $3.5 million. So now I would think Putin would know the answer to that. I think he should release it. I think we should know that answer.
That prompted the White House to say,
what kind of American, let alone an ex-president, thinks that this is the right time to enter into a scheme with Vladimir Putin?
I'm Mike Bauer.
So there you go. You know that from time to time we get a little swampy swamp. So I guess we had to do that. I guess after I say something along those lines, maybe it's time to do the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Craig. Mark Twain said, "Books are for people who wish they were somewhere else." I love this. Now think of the time Sam Clemens was alive and writing books as Mark Twain. It was well over 100 years ago, before radio, before television, before the internet, and before airplanes. So if you wanted to go somewhere back then, it was difficult and it was expensive. Nowadays, you can actually go somewhere much easier than you could back then. But I agree that you can also go somewhere by reading a book, or now by watching TV or a movie, or listening to the radio. If you want to be transported elsewhere, go there, even if it's just in your mind. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alasamorgan.com. Caffeine has been our best friend for many of us. So how exactly does it work? Caffeine is in a class of drugs called psychoactive stimulants and works through a variety of mechanisms, including adenosine. A way to explain adenosine is from the moment you wake up, adenosine starts building up in the brain, and the longer you are awake, the more adenosine is building up and the sleepier you get. When caffeine enters the system, it latches onto the adenosine receptors, gets it out of the way, and hijacks the receptors by blocking them. So even though adenosine is still there, it cannot communicate to the brain for how long you've been awake. A caffeine crush is when the effect of coffee wears out, on average within 5 hours of consumption, and the receptors get hit with the adenosine that has been pushed out of the way and adenosine that has been building up during the time the receptors were blocked. For additional information, check out alasamorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 53 minutes past the top of the hour. At the top, we will be going over to RadioBig.fm. If you want to come and hang out with us, all you have to do is go to RadioBig.fm, and that will get you moving and grooving. Hopefully, in the very near future, we might have some other options for you, but we'll figure that out from there. Anyways, New Jersey recalls milk after carton found with sanitizer at a learning center. The New Jersey health officials are recalling milk after contaminated cartons were found at an early learning center. Sarah Lee Kessler has more information.
School staffers at the Early Childhood Development Center in Camden raised concerns Wednesday about the milk having a chemical smell. That's when they learned that a non-toxic sanitizer that runs through vending machines had somehow gotten into the milk cartons being given to kids. The milk is from Guida's Dairy and involves 1% low-fat milk dated April 11th. Health officials are urging all public school cafeterias to check their milk. Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio, New Jersey.
Wow, that's something to think about for sure. Anyways, Formula One is bringing a race to Las Vegas. It's time for the major racing spectacle to grace Sin City. Trey Thomas has more details.
Formula One has announced that it's bringing an event to Las Vegas beginning in November of 2023. The route for the Las Vegas Grand Prix is expected to feature the Vegas Strip and many of the prominent locations along it. The track is expected to be 3.8 miles. I'm Trey Thomas.
What the hell was going on Trey Thomas's background there? A lot of stuff going on right there. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. Pikes Peak Community College name change a step closer. Pikes Peak Community College is a step closer of getting a new name after the Colorado House passed a bill renaming Pikes Peak State College. The PPC president, Dr. Lance Bolton, says the new name will hopefully bring about better reputation.
For many years, we have heard the stigma of community colleges. We've run into high school teachers and counselors around the state and the nation who, because they have no experience with community colleges, see it as lesser than.
Bolton says that there are plenty of students who would benefit from going to PPC. The bill still needs to be passed by the Colorado Senate. Pikes Peak Community College Dr. Lance Bolton says that the problematic that some high school students get told that it's not good to go to a community college.
That's really troubling for students for whom, many of whom, we would be the best option.
So I don't know, community college, secondary education, post-grad and all that kind of fun stuff. Think it's important regardless on how you do it. So some things to think about for sure. It is 56 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's go through this relatively quick here. Jumping around real quick. If you are looking at things that happened back on this date, let's talk about it real quick. In 2021, Paul Simon sells his entire catalog of over 400 songs to Sony Music Publishing. The acquisition includes 6 decades of music with his time with Simon and Garfunkel and also his solo career. Financial details were never shared. If you're looking at birthdays that are going on today, Ewan McGregor turns 51, Al Gore turns 74, Christopher Walken 79, and William Daniels 95. If you're looking at some things to celebrate for today, I got some of those for you. National Clams on the Half Shell Day, National Crayon Day, National Prom Day, and National Tater Day. So there's a lot of things right there to be nationalized if you're looking to do so. So there you go. Real quick, just going through it. If you are looking for a random joke for today, I got that for you. The nice part about being a pessimist is that you are constantly being either proven right or pleasantly surprised. If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. What's something that was once important but now is becoming less and less relevant? Cash, movie theaters, payphones, business cards, newspapers. I don't know. There's probably a lot of things that you can think about. We can talk about the BlackBerry, but you kind of already know you can't use that, so it really doesn't matter if I mention that. What else do we got over here? Let's take a look. If you need something for the water cooler, try this one today. Question: 89% of us have this in our homes, but only about 1/3 of us use it regularly. What is it? It's actually dental floss, and I'm pretty sure that my dentist would probably put me in some kind of a stranglehold if she heard me saying that out loud. So I should probably not say that because I don't want her to beat my ass up, that's for sure. And the funny part is that she could, and there is no doubt about it. Anyways, that's what's going on. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on Safety FM and RadioBig.fm. Thank you for always being the best part of what we do around here, because without you, we can't do what we do around here. So this will be it for me for the week. I got something major going on tomorrow that I will not be able to be here, so just wanted to share. So I will see you Monday if you do not come over to RadioBig.fm with me, just so you know. Anyways, if I can leave you with a thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. To inspire someone, don't show them your superpowers, show them theirs. You'd be amazed at how far that can take people. Seriously. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
In letting your desires show now, we both know you can hold